So the price of Bitcoin has been trading above over $100,000 for the last week, but it's getting into a little bit of a range. So your question may be right now, isn't the price getting exhausted and we are going to see a pullback of several $1,000s? Or if you are bullish, hey, aren't we consolidating? We're forming a bull flag and we're just going to break out and head up to all-time high? Well, I am here to answer your technical questions. Let's dive in here through the higher time frame and understand where the price is. We hit the value area high of this entire range between 2024 and 2025, hitting the 0.88 Fibonacci, which we like very much also as a reaction level. We also formed 5 waves to the upside since the beginning of April, bottoming out here at the $74,000 range. As you can see, we had the movement up, the consolidation, another move up, consolidation, another move up here, forming those 5 waves to the upside. So yeah, it would make sense to get a pullback to the high 90K levels or even the mid 90K levels to that point of control. However, we are here to dive into the lower time frame because this price action does kind of remind me a little bit to this price action right over here, where we were talking about it is highly likely that all of this is corrective and we are looking to break above $96,000. We actually called the bottom formation here, looking at this complex sideways corrective structure to bottom out at $93,000 to then break above $96,000. There is something very similar happening here in this range. However, we got several options and I'm going to give you those options because all of those options could bring some great trading opportunities. By the way, I am still partially in that long position that we mentioned a few days ago at the $102,000 range to get that leg up above $104,000. Still holding some of the position, have taken some profits eventually, but I do see a high chance of the highs being taken, but also could we dip down the lows first of all? Well, I'm going to be explaining that in today's episode. Remember, if you are interested in trading BTCC, you just need an email and a password, no VPN. You also get some beautiful perks here, over $10,000 of deposit bonus. And of course, as an other option, you do have Weeks as well. Weeks currently is giving $100 tether to the first 100 users that have signed up. We've got already over 50 signups. Okay, so there's still some slots left here for some people that want to get free $100. And if you trade with that eventually, then you can withdraw those profits. You get 20% deposit bonus and you have many other different bonuses as you can see. You also get a 25% fee reduction as soon as you sign up with the first link down below. You got that BTCC also that works absolutely wonderful as an exchange. Let's go right away through the different setups that I'm looking at because, hey, if you are seeing this price action very similar to this one, well, doesn't that mean that you're looking for the highs to be claimed, just as you mentioned here about 2 weeks ago that we're going to claim those highs above $96,000? Absolutely, yes. That is the main goal. I do see this as a very corrective price action as mentioned the last few days. The main reason why is because I don't see a major impulsive move down. From the rejection that we had at the value area high, yeah, the price can be counted as a 5-wave move to the downside. However, this is overextending right now. If this were to be a wave 2, there is one of the problems. A wave 2 cannot be a triangle. If it were to be a wave 2 also, well, we have another issue. The timing is getting overextended compared to your wave 1, which is decreasing that probability that you're going to see a massive waterfall breakdown here. So could we claim the lows? Without a doubt, we can, but it would still be part of an entire corrective move in my opinion. And I have several options here for you. Now, the most basic one that we did mention also on the live stream just yesterday, before yesterday actually, is the triangle, where we just moved up here very aggressively, and here we started a triangle formation where we'd have to consider the A wave a flat structure. Now you have formed your B wave, your C wave, your D wave, and could we be forming your E wave? Or is the E wave already in? Because the E wave doesn't need to come down to the base of the triangle. Okay, it can form a higher low and then you're breaking out already. So that is definitely an option. Maybe the price does go up from here. However, if the price does come back down to claim the lows of yesterday, then from the D point, yeah, we could be looking at a zigzag structure. What is interesting here is that we do have the value area low slightly below those lows that we formed yesterday. So could we get supported from the higher low support triangle, create a kind of a fake out, get a reaction? If we were to form this kind of price action, I am interested in seeing that proof of support, hitting that golden pocket, 7/8 Fibonacci from the C wave to the D wave. That is the zone where I'm interested for the price to get a bounce. I need to see proof of support because there's other options that I want to talk about in this video, okay, where we do break down actually, but then overall I would be looking for a leg to the upside. So that is the scenario number one. Of course, you want to see that proof of support with the higher lows, 618 to the golden pocket, a fake out from the value area low, and then of course we look for the price to claim the highs here of last Monday at $105,800, which we actually do have quite a lot of liquidity up there, okay? Something to take into consideration. As you can see the liquidity heat map here, there is lots of liquidity sitting above $105,000. So it would make sense for that volatility internally and then, you know, possibly claim those highs. Okay, so this is one scenario. We form a triangle, we're just finishing our E wave, or potentially the E wave is finished and we head up from here, which I'll explain another scenario right away. We also got another WXY structure where we finished the highs here, we formed a flat, we are forming a triangle, so we finished the flat in your W. The triangle here potentially could be ending here, okay, because this would be an A, B, C, D, E, and we're just topping out here slightly below $104,000 range, okay, forming that X wave, and then we get a possible zigzag to the downside. As the W has formed a flat, well, a zigzag is very much possible. Now, worst case scenario is that we do break down and claim the lows of the range at $100,700. This is going to be the moment of interest to see proof of support. Now, a few days ago, we mentioned we want to be cautious because we have this inefficiency, not leaving much support, but considering this scenario, the WXY with a zigzag and a Y, well, the common target zones would be the 1-to-1 extension here, taking your W to the end of X, depending on where the X is going to finish. But you could finish in between the 0.618 and the 1.236 being less common, okay? 1-to-1 is very nice because you have an order block right over here, as you can see. And when we get Fibonacci retracement from the low to the highs of last week, we can see that the 50% Fibonacci retracement from the lows to the highs is sitting around about that range, okay, $99,500. This would be an interesting area, right? You do get that drop, you get a little bounce, and then you form a lower high, and then you come all the way down to the $99,000, $100,000 range where you want to see a little bit of proof of support and then look for that move to the upside to claim the highs. Now, that would be one scenario. You form a zigzag. Another scenario is that you form a flat. So you actually create that fake out, okay, of the triangle. You get beneath the lows of Saturday, and then you have a major rally to claim the highs of today, which would be forming that possible flat. Of course, you could break out. We talked about the triangle. That is a possibility. If you don't claim this low, it might be a higher low, and you blast off to the highs. So, I mean, overall, this level is very interesting for a long position, regardless if you take out the highs or not, or you form a lower high and you break down. I would still be interested in the long position. If you take a long position from here, you need to be defensive, realizing that this is one of the setups that could happen, okay? So the zigzag is one of them. The flat is another one. You claim the highs and then you come back down to claim the lows here, and that would be the level of interest. If you reclaim the lows, that is the moment that I want to go long on this trade, okay? So stop loss beneath the low of the fake out. As soon as you reclaim the lows of the drop, that means that potentially the flat is in and that you're going to get that rally. Very similar price action that we mentioned just 2 weeks ago here. We had the triangle. We were looking for either a flat or a zigzag. We formed that flat zigzag, a flat on some exchanges because it did come up almost to hit the highs. And then we were looking for the rally to the upside. Very, very complex to understand, but that's how the market moves, okay? Getting a little bit of choppiness, a little bit of confusion, fake outs to the upside and to the downside. And this is what I would be looking right over here. Something very similar that was mentioned here just 2 weeks ago. Remember, we got that video right over here talking about this scenario. So that is another scenario here. What would be another scenario? What if the price does pump from here and we go to much higher levels? What would be another scenario? Well, there is a possibility of forming a flat. Considering here that we do have a flat in your A wave, and here we do have a movement up to possibly be an A wave, a B wave, and right now you are in the formation of that C wave, okay? And just to put it here into perspective, we're just going to get here an ABC movement, all right? And just change color. So we have it ready here for you, just so you can see the overall scenario would be looking for a zigzag to the upside, where you have completed your A wave, your B wave, and right now you have formed your first wave of the C wave, your second wave. You're going to form that third, fourth, and fifth, right? Where you do form 5 waves to complete that C wave of a zigzag. This could get very confusing. Now, I would be quite interested in the short position, especially when we have these January lower highs at $106,300 and $107,000. I wouldn't say it's a quick swing failure pattern, or depending if we do get an explosive breakout in a third wave, what we want to see is a fourth wave and a fifth wave. We will kind of want to see a double top price action in this region at the $107,000 to get safely into that short position, okay? Definitely a scenario that I would be looking at. Of course, then I would look for a drop below $101,000 to form that possible flat structure, right? You're looking for a short at 107 to come all the way down below $101,000 over a move of $6,000, which can get you a massive trading setup and very good profits. But we need to analyze very, very carefully that structure, because if we suddenly move up here very aggressively and we break out with lots of volume and we suddenly go to 109, 110, we break all-time high, well, eventually we are not interested in that trade if we blast off through these levels. But if we do get the pump between today and tomorrow, boom, and then we correct ever so slightly, I would be looking for a double top based on this ABC flat scenario, okay? That is basically a few of the different movements that could happen. As you can see, if you pile them up, there's an interesting shorting level at 107. There's an interesting longing level here when we consider the triangle structure, okay? The value area low, the fake out from the lows, okay? Very interesting long. You want to be defensive because you also have the other scenario. So this would be a long position area as well. And also, some long position areas would be that WXY, okay? We need to see a little bit of more information, but ultimately, the target zones, okay, are very, very similar. We want to see a bit of proof of support, reclaim the lows for here, for example, from this low, if we consider the flat or the zigzag, it doesn't matter, and then consider the price forming a higher low, okay? So we will be interested in that long position. As you can see, the price could move in different ways. I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know what could happen, different options. And with those different options, I have a trading opportunity. Thank you very much for joining today, and I'll see you in the next one.